Hello everyone, this is Austin here from My Home Concierge. I am joined here today for first time on video by Dylan, who is our head of service here at My Home Concierge. Today he's going to be walking you through how to drain a pretty typical hot water tank in a regular home. So Dylan, without any further ado, take it away.
Awesome, thank you Austin, I appreciate it. So the reason why we are going to be draining this hot water tank today and servicing it is because sediment starts to build up over time within your hot water tank, and what ends up happening is that the capacity, the volume of hot water that's in your hot water tank, it becomes decreased substantially depending on how much sediment will actually build up. So we do it annually to just try and ensure that we are staying on top of that. Also the energy costs, right, associated with trying to heat that water, it's substantially more because it's taking a lot more energy to make its way through that sediment to heat up the hot water itself. Prior to starting draining our hot water tank, there's a few tools that we might consider, one being our channel locks, another one is your crescent wrench, and the third is multi-bits. So we've got our Phillips, we got our flathead, we got our Robertson on it as well. So depending on what valve, we might have a pin valve that we might need to use to try to open up the hot water tank. We might need the multi-bit for connecting hoses, whatnot. We'll have our channel locks, and then for maybe shutting off the gas, we'll have our crescent wrench. First thing you want to do before servicing your hot water tank is you need to decipher whether it's electric or it's gas. If it's electric, you need to hit your electrical panel and make sure the power is turned off to the hot water tank itself. In this situation, it's gas. We know that because we've got our piping coming down. This is our main shut off for our gas. So part of what we do with My Home Concierge is through this process, we like to educate the homeowner. So joining me now is Jason. He's the homeowner. Thank you for joining me. Okay, so first, Jason, we've decided this is a gas hot water tank, and we need to isolate the gas for it. So the first things first is we need to hit this valve here. We need to turn it so it's horizontal to the pipe.
It's that way.
Yeah, it can be a little bit sticky sometimes because I mean these valves, you know, potentially haven't been touched in years, right? So don't be too worried about it. It's not.
Well, they haven't been touched since I moved in 7 years ago.
Perfect. Well, it's a good thing we're doing this then, right? Yeah. The next step is going to be we need to come down here. We need to turn this gauge to the pilot setting. So that'll be twisting it all the way to the right.
The pilot setting?
Yeah, perfect. You got it. And now we have to come up here and we need to turn this guy to the off setting.
Where's the off?
Keep twisting. You got it. See, we got an arrow on top of this guy. Now we need to come to our water and we need to hit this big beautiful valve right here. And we just need to give her a twist.
Oh, there we go.
Perfect. And now we're turned off. So now we've got no more water being delivered into this. So utilities are isolated. Gas is turned off, water's turned off, and we're ready to hook up some hoses. What Jason's doing here, and this is actually really exciting, is that we're going to hook this hose up now to the bottom of the hot water tank. So we've hooked up a pair of nylons with the elastic bands, very fancy, and the premise is that we're going to try and capture as much of the sediment that's in the bottom of that hot water tank, just to kind of give you an idea to see exactly what the buildup is. As Jason had mentioned, the home hasn't been done in 7 years since he had moved in, so we're kind of excited to see what's going to come out of this. So let's have some fun. A good common practice is to go to your bathroom sink, go to your kitchen sink, whatever you might have, and open it up. Open the hot water because it relieves the pressure on the tank itself and it will allow the process to be a lot quicker. Our next step is that we're going to open up our PRV, right? So this is, like I said, just opening up another orifice, another open end to allow the system to drain a bit better. So to make that happen, we take this valve here itself and we simply open it up. And it's allowing the water to drain a lot faster. So the thing is, when this thing fills up, or when it is filled rather, you know, we start draining it. We wait about 10-15 minutes because we don't want that water to be past the PRV point, because what ends up happening is if you try to open this thing up too soon, it does its job. And what ends up happening is the water will come out, our hose here, our 1/2 inch round, it'll come out the bottom. So we wait about that time to ensure that we're past that point. So now that we've opened this up, you can hear the air work its way into the hot water tank. I don't know if you maybe caught that, it's kind of hard to hear, but the water flow from the drain has increased dramatically. So what we're gonna do now that it's been draining for about 15-20 minutes, we're gonna look at our cold incoming. So this valve up here, right? So we isolated this so none of the water is gonna be coming into this tank, but the premise of why we're doing this is to reduce the sediment that's in the bottom of this, right? So we've got our nylon sock going because we want to see and see how much sediment's going to be coming out of this one. But we're going to blast that water down into the hot water tank, and what's going to happen is it's going to sort of agitate the sediment that's there, right? It's going to start displacing it, it's going to move it, it's going to kick it around. We're going to be in a great spot. The draining process with the hot water tank should take about anywhere from 30 minutes to 45 minutes. You know, it should take about 30 minutes for it to drain completely. But if we're going to throttle our cold incoming, then it's going to take a little bit more time. But it's very important that we do agitate some of the sediment down there to ensure that we actually have done this properly. As I mentioned before, we hooked up our nylon sock because we wanted to see some of the sediment that was coming out of it. 15 minutes is pretty good. So we've disconnected our hose, and what we want to make sure, because we're basically reversing our process now, so we want to make sure we close this valve. We want to make sure we come up here and our PRV is sitting well. Having said that, we're making sure that this pin valve is not facing out, but it's actually closed. And we've we've closed our faucet upstairs, our open end to the system. So now we're ready to open up our water and refill the hot water tank. And then once it's filled, then we'll go down and we'll turn our gas back on and we'll light the pilot light. Okay, we've waited a little bit of time. We came back and our hot water tank is full. So we've now turned the gas back on and we've re-engaged the pilot lights and we've put it to a setting that we're comfortable with. And the hot water tank is back up and functional. Should take about 10 to 20 minutes, I think, for the whole tank to be ready to be used, to have hot water again. If you have an electric hot water tank, make sure you just turn the breaker back on and you're in a great spot. Thanks for watching. Cheers.